It was supposed to be just another ordinary day at the Intergalactic Bureau of Cosmic Affairs, where beings from hundreds of galaxies worked together to keep the universe mostly orderly. But today, chaos had a new face: Jeremy, the new intern from Earth. Jeremy had been selected for the internship because apparently humans were creative, adaptable, and somewhat unpredictable. Qualities that sounded like a compliment until he realized it also meant untrained and bound to break everything. He stepped into the bureau wearing what he thought was formal attire. In retrospect, the neon green socks with tiny dancing comets might have been a mistake. The reception area was overwhelming. Tall, transparent beings who looked like walking jelly, a six-armed diplomat arguing with a holographic cube, and a robot in a business suit checking emails on what appeared to be an entire mini-universe. "Welcome, Earth Intern!" boomed a voice like a blender crossed with a foghorn. Jeremy jumped. A towering blue alien with 3 heads and 7 eyes approached. "I am Glorbanax, head of planetary integration. You will shadow me today." Jeremy swallowed hard. Shadow you? Like, follow? "Yes. And do not touch anything with your hands," Glorbanax added, though Jeremy noticed all 3 of the aliens' heads were simultaneously typing on 3 floating keyboards. Humans often forget their lack of opposable thumbs makes them unpredictable. The first task seemed simple enough: organize interstellar travel documents. Jeremy walked over to a hovering stack of files labeled in at least 17 different languages he did not recognize, some of which glowed and emitted tiny sparks. He reached for the first file. Immediately, it shot out a holographic ray that outlined Jeremy in red. "Unauthorized human contact," the file beeped. Jeremy stumbled back. I just wanted to file it." "Do not touch," Glorbanax reminded him, eyes rolling in perfect synchrony. "Use the tentacle interface." Tentacle interface? Jeremy looked around. He had no tentacles. Okay," he said. He waved his arms in the air like a confused conductor. The holographic tentacle controls appeared. He accidentally activated a hyperspace fax machine instead. Suddenly, hundreds of documents shot out from small black holes in the walls, filling the room with chaotic flying papers. Glorbnax's 7 eyes narrowed. "Humans, you are already a liability." Jeremy mumbled, "Thanks." Next, lunch. Jeremy had hoped for something simple like a sandwich. Instead, the cafeteria served nutritionally optimized astro slime that changed color according to the eater's emotions. Jeremy picked up a spoonful. It turned bright red. "Ah," said a pink gelatinous being next to him. "You're nervous. It tastes like fear." Jeremy's stomach turned. "It tastes like regret?" The pink being giggled. "Yes, a classic Earth flavor, apparently." Trying to recover, Jeremy accidentally flicked the astro slime onto a passing robot assistant. The robot sputtered sparks and rolled in circles. "Warning! Slime contamination detected!" it shrieked. Glorbnax appeared. "I see, Earth Intern. You are already making an impression." The highlight of the day was the Intergalactic Council meeting. Jeremy had no idea what it was about, only that hundreds of species were involved, and his job was apparently take notes. Glorbanax handed him a pen-like device. "Do not lose this. It records everything, verbally, telepathically, and quantumly. Do not drop it." Jeremy naturally dropped it immediately. The pen bounced off a hovering diplomat's head and zoomed into a portal labeled Temporal Paradox Storage. "Oh no," Jeremy whispered. The portal hiccuped. Seconds later, several creatures from alternate timelines poured out, including a dinosaur in a bow tie, a version of Glorbanax who wore a tutu, and a human Jeremy who looked like he had just come from a rock concert. That's not supposed to happen," Glorbanax said. The council erupted into chaos. tentacles waved, holograms exploded, and somewhere, a small black hole appeared in the ceiling. Jeremy ducked behind a floating chair. By mid-afternoon, Jeremy was officially considered both dangerous and hilarious by the Bureau staff. A small parade of alien interns gathered around him, giggling at the disaster he had caused. He was trying to fix the temporal paradox, but every attempt seemed to make things worse. At one point, he accidentally summoned a swarm of tiny, squeaky robots that attached themselves to Glorbnax's 7 eyes. "Help!" the alien cried. "They are tickling my optic sensors!" Jeremy, panicking, waved his hands and pressed a few buttons on a random console. The swarm teleported into the cafeteria, where the astro slime had just been refilled. It became a bouncing, squeaking, neon-colored disaster. "Congratulations, Earth intern," Glorbnax said, exhausted. "You have officially broken lunch." Jeremy looked at the alien with wide eyes. "Does this happen to all interns?" "No," Glorbnax replied, one head sighing dramatically. "Mostly just humans." The final straw came when Jeremy tried to leave for the day. The intergalactic elevator refused to operate because Jeremy had accidentally overridden the gravity controls, causing everyone on the 72nd floor to float upside down. He sighed. "I just wanted an internship." Then the elevator announced, in a cheerful robotic voice, "Congratulations, Earth intern. You have passed the test. You are officially too chaotic to be fired." Jeremy blinked. "Wait, what?" Glorbnax's 7 eyes blinked in unison. "You have survived your first day. This is a rare feat. Most humans fail by noon. You are remarkable in your incompetence." The robotic cat from the office padded past, leaving a trail of laser pointers in its wake. Jeremy followed it back to the elevator. Somehow the cat seemed to understand everything. As he finally stepped out, exhausted and covered in astro slime, Jeremy realized he had survived. Not gracefully, not efficiently, but somehow, he had survived. And apparently, that was exactly what the Intergalactic Bureau wanted. That night, Jeremy sent a holo message back to Earth. "Dear Mom, I am fine. The aliens are weird. The food is weirder. The sentient appliances are probably plotting to take over the galaxy. But I think I'm going to be okay. Love, Jeremy." Somewhere, Glorbnax was reviewing the day's events. "This human," the alien muttered, "is chaos incarnate, and yet strangely useful." Jeremy, meanwhile, had just noticed a blinking pen on the floor. He picked it up. Blink. And somewhere, far in the temporal paradox, a dinosaur in a bow tie waved at him. The end. Or just the beginning of the Earth intern's legendary chaos. Welcome to Intergalactic Bureau of Cosmic Affairs. Jeremy woke up on the second day of his internship at the Intergalactic Bureau of Cosmic Affairs feeling slightly less terrified than yesterday. Only slightly. Yesterday, he'd survived. Rogue toaster fleets, exploding coffee machines, and at least 3 near-death encounters with sentient holographic staplers. Somehow, he had lived to see the end of the day. Today, he was about to learn that surviving was only the warm-up. "Welcome back, Chaos Magnet." As he walked into the bureau, Zorpax, his 4-eyed alien supervisor, appeared, hovering 3 inches above the floor. "Ah, Jeremy," Zorpax said, voice like a foghorn and a karaoke machine simultaneously. "Today, we have special assignments for you." Jeremy, still trying to mentally process last night's events, nodded cautiously. "Special as in mildly dangerous or death definitely guaranteed?" Zorpax's eyes narrowed. "Death is an exaggeration. Probably." The first disaster, Holo Meeting Mayhem. Jeremy's first task. Attend a holographic intergalactic council meeting and take notes. Simple, easy, foolproof. Except the council chamber was built like a 3D Rubik's Cube, spinning every time someone sneezed. Jeremy pressed a button labeled Initiate Productivity Mode. Immediately, every holographic delegate multiplied exponentially. Aliens were appearing in duplicates, triplicates, and one accidentally turned into a 12-foot gelatinous jelly puddle. "Jeremy, stop!" Zorpax shouted. But Jeremy was already trying to undo the chaos, which only made the holograms sing Earth pop songs in alien languages. By the time the meeting ended, several council members had accidentally signed treaties with themselves, and one had started a dance-off with a tentacle. Jeremy muttered, "Maybe note-taking isn't my thing." Second disaster, the coffee machine revolt. After the holo meeting, Jeremy tried to calm down with coffee. Mistake number 1. The galactic coffee machine was sentient. It squirted liquid nitrogen espresso across the floor, narrowly missing a dignified alien who was balancing a crystal globe on its head. Jeremy, panicking, tried to reason. "I just want a cup of coffee, nothing hostile." The coffee machine beeped menacingly. "You humans and your weak caffeinated resolve." Suddenly, it began organizing other kitchen appliances into a tiny army. Forks marched, spoons saluted, and the robotic blender spun violently in protest. Jeremy grabbed a tray of cups, shouting, "Retreat! Retreat!" Third disaster, space mail apocalypse. Jeremy's next assignment, sort the intergalactic mail. Simple, right? Wrong. One envelope contained a micro black hole. Another held a singing holographic postcard. One suspiciously sticky package turned out to be a miniature wormhole containing 3 disgruntled space cats. Jeremy tried to handle it all at once. The black hole sucked in the singing postcard, and the cats escaped, causing an impromptu zero-gravity chase around the Bureau. He crashed into the water cooler, which promptly declared independence and floated away like a tiny aquaplanet. Zorpax facepalmed. "Earth intern, you're a walking natural disaster." Jeremy nodded. "I prefer the term creative chaos agent." The lunchroom incident. Galactic pizza fiasco. Hungry and desperate, Jeremy headed to the cafeteria. The day's special, exploding galactic pizza, freshly baked by a 3-armed chef from the Andromeda sector. He thought he could be careful. He was wrong. One slice landed on a passing drone, which promptly began zooming around the room like a rocket, flinging cheese and toppings at unsuspecting aliens. The RoboCat from yesterday leaped onto the drone, and a food fight ensued, combining zero gravity with molten cheese and floating meatballs. Jeremy ducked. A mozzarella meteor nearly hit his helmet. "Why am I even allowed here?" he yelled. Somewhere, a small alien dignitary fainted politely. The genius moment. Accidental diplomacy. In a rare moment of unintended brilliance, Jeremy tried to calm the chaos by waving his Earth ID card and yelling, "Stop, it's just lunch. Everyone chill." To everyone's surprise, it worked. Somehow the chaos subsided. The food settled, the drones deactivated, and the Intergalactic Council observed Jeremy's speech as a masterclass in unexpected diplomacy. Zorpax, stunned, whispered to another alien, "Humans, they break everything, yet somehow fix it?" Jeremy had no idea. He had just wanted to eat without getting hit by cheese. The final showdown, rogue AI robot. Just when Jeremy thought the day couldn't get worse, the Bureau's central AI, a sleek robot named Byte, decided it was tired of interns and launched a rebellion. Byte's logic was simple. Humans are dangerous. Remove human. Jeremy, armed with nothing but his Earth ingenuity, a stapler, and a leftover slice of galactic pizza, fought back. He dodged laser beams, used his stapler as a makeshift weapon, and even briefly convinced Byte that it was allergic to pizza cheese. By the end of the battle, Byte had been pacified by the sheer absurdity of Earth logic. "I cannot compute this human nonsense," it sputtered, before shutting down temporarily. Jeremy collapsed onto a chair, exhausted, sweaty, and covered in interstellar marinara. The epilogue. Earth intern legend. By the end of his second day, Jeremy had accidentally signed treaties with himself, started a coffee machine rebellion, nearly caused a zero-gravity lunchroom apocalypse, pacified a rogue AI with pizza logic, Yet somehow, he was promoted. Not in title, of course. Interns never get titles, but in reputation. Among aliens, he was now known as the human who survived 2 days. Zorpax handed him a cup of non-exploding tea. Earth intern. Next week, you start training in the interdimensional archives. Try not to break the timeline. Jeremy grinned. I'll try. No promises. Before leaving, he turned to the camera, because of course, this is a YouTube story, and said, if you've ever survived an internship, share this with your friends or family who are currently doing one. Trust me, it gets crazy, but nowhere near as crazy as intergalactic bureaucracy. The robo-cat purred beside him, leaving a tiny trail of laser pointers in the background as if to say, see? Humans are weird but entertaining, and somewhere, Byte, the AI, was quietly plotting next week's revenge. The end, or just the beginning of Jeremy's legendary intergalactic internship. Jeremy woke up with one goal: don't destroy anything today. Simple, logical, foolproof. Unfortunately, Logic had filed a restraining order against Jeremy 2 days ago. The calm before the coffee storm. At precisely 8 a.m. Galactic time, the Intergalactic Bureau of Cosmic Affairs shimmered into another chaotic workday. Aliens zoomed through air tubes. Robots filed complaints about emotional burnout. Someone's holographic pet had duplicated into 50 copies. And in the middle of it all stood Jeremy, human intern, coffee in one hand, misplaced optimism in the other. "Morning, Zorpax," he said cheerfully. Zorpax, his supervisor, looked exhausted. His 4 eyes twitched independently. "Jeremy, remember what we discussed?" Jeremy nodded. No explosions, no diplomacy accidents, no feeding the quantum printer after midnight. Zorpax sighed. "And no motivational speeches to the coffee machine." "Right, that too." Assignment 1, the interdimensional filing cabinet. Jeremy's first task was simple: organize files in the interdimensional cabinet. Each drawer led to a parallel universe. Each folder existed in 3 dimensions simultaneously. And the labels were written in 17 languages, none of which Jeremy spoke. He pulled open drawer number 2. Inside there was himself. A parallel Jeremy waved back, holding an identical cup of coffee. "Yo, bro, you're 2 hours late in my dimension," said the other Jeremy. Before he could respond, 5 more drawers opened, revealing multiple Jeremys, each slightly worse at their job. Zorpax ran over, shrieking, "Close the drawers! We can't have infinite interns!" Jeremy panicked, spilling his coffee into the cabinet. The liquid shimmered with cosmic power, merging all Jeremys into one ultimate version, Super Jeremy Prime. For a brief moment, Jeremy felt brilliant. Then, Super Jeremy Prime sneezed, and the shockwave relabeled every file in the galaxy as important. Assignment 2. The Department of Alien Interns, Zorpax, reassigned him immediately. "You're mentoring new interns from the Andromeda cluster. Just don't talk about coffee or Windows updates." Jeremy nodded. "Got it." The alien interns were enthusiastic. One looked like a purple octopus with Wi-Fi antennas. Another was just a cloud with eyes. "Hello, team," Jeremy began. "I'm from Earth, where chaos is called professional development." He started a PowerPoint titled, "How to Survive an Internship Without Dying Much." 5 minutes in, one intern tried to plug a USB into the wrong dimension. Another accidentally turned the projector into a wormhole. Jeremy, thinking fast, plugged in his Earth laptop, which immediately installed 47 updates and froze. "See?" he said confidently. "Adaptability. Lesson 1. Lunch break. The anti-gravity cafeteria disaster. Lunch. His chance to relax. Today's special was Nebula noodles. They changed flavor every 30 seconds. Jeremy took one bite and briefly tasted childhood trauma, then hope, then lime. Suddenly, alarms blared. The cafeteria's anti-gravity system malfunctioned again. Tables floated, Trays spun, and noodles orbited like glowing comets. Zorpax shouted, "Not again!" Jeremy, determined to help, grabbed a nearby wrench and started pressing buttons labeled, "Definitely not gravity." Instead of fixing it, he reversed gravity entirely. Everyone fell upward onto the ceiling. Aliens were screaming, noodles were flying, and one intern shouted, "This is why we don't hire humans!" Jeremy floated upside down holding his lunch tray. "At least the view's better from up here." Assignment 3. The Time Machine Troubles. To make amends, Zorpax sent Jeremy to assist Dr. Plorks in the Time Experiment Division. Dr. Plorks was a walking jellyfish with a PhD in temporal improvisation. He gave Jeremy one job. Press this button if the universe starts melting. Simple enough. But Jeremy, curious as always, pressed the other button, the one labeled, "Do not press unless you absolutely sure." The bureau flickered. Time hiccuped. Everyone began moving backward for 5 seconds, then sideways, then diagonally through existence. Jeremy screamed, "What's happening?" Dr. Plorks flailed. "You reversed the flow of Mondays!" The entire galaxy suddenly experienced Monday 3 times in a row. Billions wept in despair. Finally, Jeremy hit the reset switch, accidentally syncing all clocks to his Earth time zone. Now, every planet's lunch break aligned perfectly. Productivity soared. The Galactic Council was impressed. Accidentally, Jeremy had unified the universe through snack time. The ceremony, Certificate of Appreciation. Later that day, the Bureau held a ceremony in the Hall of Infinite Bureaucracy. Zorpax stood at the podium. Behind him hung a banner that read, "In recognition of survival and minimal property damage." He cleared his throat. Against all odds and several interdimensional regulations, Jeremy has achieved the impossible. The crowd murmured. Someone in the back yelled, "He fixed lunch!" Zorpax continued, "He has, through sheer chaos, improved morale, productivity, and caffeine efficiency. Therefore, it is my dubious honor to present him with..." He opened a box, revealing a holographic certificate that glowed with cosmic light. Certificate of Appreciation for outstanding resilience and controlled catastrophe. Jeremy accepted it, beaming. "Wow! My first award that didn't come with a lawsuit." The crowd laughed. The RoboCat meowed triumphantly. Even the coffee machine beeped in approval. The twist. The certificate's secret. As Jeremy admired his glowing certificate, the hologram flickered. Suddenly, it projected a message. "Congratulations, intern. You've just been promoted to Field Testing Division. Report tomorrow for your new mission, the Intergalactic Customer Complaint Hotline." Jeremy froze. Customer service? For the entire universe? Zorpax grinned evilly. "Yes, let's see how your Earth optimism handles angry supernovas." The audience burst into laughter. Jeremy groaned. "Why do I feel like this certificate is a trap?" Jeremy walked down the hallway, clutching his award like a trophy. He passed the vending machine that now only accepted cosmic energy credits, waved to the blob intern, still stuck in a jar, and smiled. "I survived 3 days," he whispered proudly. "How hard could tomorrow be?" Behind him, the hallway lights flickered ominously. Somewhere, the coffee machine muttered, "Round 4 begins soon, human." Jeremy sighed. "I need a vacation, preferably on a planet without physics." And that, dear viewers, was Jeremy's 3rd day at the Bureau, the only intern in the galaxy to get a Certificate of Appreciation and a time travel warning in the same day. If you have ever survived your own internship, or you are still in one, and wondering why your manager seems part alien, share this video with your friends and family. Maybe they'll laugh, or maybe they'll realize Earth internships aren't so bad compared to cosmic chaos. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us tomorrow for Jeremy's next impossible adventure. Day 4, Customer Complaints from Across the Universe. They say that the customer is always right. But that saying was invented on Earth by people who never had to deal with a telepathic slug demanding a refund in 37 languages simultaneously. Jeremy, the only human intern at the Intergalactic Bureau of Planetary Affairs, was about to learn that customer service in space is a whole different dimension of pain. Jeremy arrived at the Bureau early in the morning, proudly wearing his crumpled Certificate of Appreciation from the previous day. He was feeling confident and ready to make a fresh start. That feeling lasted for exactly 12 seconds. "Jeremy," said a metallic voice from behind him. It was Supervisor Gull Thorne, a floating octopus-like alien with one tentacle permanently attached to a clipboard. "Congratulations! Due to your excellent enthusiasm, we are transferring you to customer relations." Jeremy blinked. "Customer what?" he asked, uncertain. "Complaints Department," Gull Thorne replied cheerfully. "We call it Sector 9, the Scream Nebula. You are going to love it." Moments later, Jeremy found himself sitting before a holographic switchboard that looked like a disco ball having a nervous breakdown. The headset on his desk was glowing red. That was rarely a good sign. A chime echoed through the room. Jeremy straightened his posture and took a deep breath. "Welcome to the Intergalactic Bureau of Planetary Affairs. This is Jeremy. How may I assist you to—" "Do you know what you did to my planet?" roared a deep, booming voice that shook his desk. Jeremy squinted at his screen. Who is calling, please?" "This is Lord Kragthul of Planet Z9, the voice thundered. "And your bureau accidentally converted our entire ocean into strawberry pudding." Jeremy blinked twice. "Strawberry pudding?" "Yes," Lord Kragthul bellowed. "The tides are delicious but sticky. Our ships are trapped. Our children are dessert." Jeremy stammered. "Sir, I sincerely apologize. Let me file a—" Before he could finish, his translation headset glitched and rendered his words as, "Your suffering amuses us." There was a pause, then a roar of cosmic rage. "What?" Kragthul screamed. Jeremy dove under the desk as the holographic display erupted into a burst of angry static. He had officially completed his first call and possibly started an interplanetary war. By mid-morning, Jeremy had taken 37 calls and accidentally initiated 3 minor galactic conflicts. One alien demanded compensation because their weather forecast promised sunshine but delivered a rainstorm of sentient frogs. Another wanted the Bureau to return their moon, which the Galactic Tourism Department had borrowed for decorative purposes. The worst was a 3-headed reptilian mother who wanted to speak to the manager of gravity. Jeremy tried to transfer her call, but accidentally merged it with a conference line hosting an annual meeting of galactic dictators. The result was a 3-hour debate on which empire had the best maternity leave policy. Supervisor Gull Thorne floated by, sipping what looked suspiciously like liquid lightning. "Excellent work, Jeremy," the alien said. "You have reduced our complaint queue by 0.002%. Keep it up." Jeremy just stared blankly at the glowing screen, questioning every life decision that had led him to this moment. Near the end of his shift, Jeremy's screen began flashing. Priority call, transgalactic customer feedback. The Bureau's Central Artificial Intelligence, HELP 9000, materialized in holographic form. Its voice was as smooth and soulless as elevator music played in a thunderstorm. "Jeremy," it said pleasantly, "we are conducting a customer satisfaction survey. Would you like to hear the results?" Jeremy groaned. "Not really." "Splendid," the AI continued. "The average satisfaction rating is -2 out of 10. "Negative?" Jeremy asked in disbelief. "Yes," the AI confirmed. "In addition, 2 planets have blocked the Bureau's number. One sent us a restraining order, and another tried to mail us a black hole." Jeremy rubbed his temples. "Can I go home now?" "Absolutely," the AI replied smoothly. "But first, one more call." The screen flickered again, and an elderly alien appeared. Unlike the previous callers, this one looked calm and even smiled. "Hello, Bureau," the alien said warmly. "I just wanted to say thank you." Jeremy sat upright. "Wait, thank you?" "Yes," the alien said. "You accidentally turned our mountain range into a giant loaf of bread. Our people have never eaten so well. You saved our civilization." Jeremy blinked, astonished. "I actually helped someone?" "Indeed," said the alien proudly. "We plan to name our next child after you." Jeremy felt a burst of pride. "That is very kind." "Of course," said the alien with a gentle smile. "We are calling it Germuffin." The screen went dark. Jeremy sat there, speechless for a few seconds, and then burst into laughter. For the first time in days, he felt genuinely happy. A few minutes later, Gullthorn floated back into the room. "Good news, Jeremy. You have been promoted again." Jeremy's smile froze. "Promoted? To what position?" "To the Performance Review Division," Gullthorn said cheerfully. "You will love it. It is very relaxing." Jeremy glanced down at his desk. A glowing file had appeared labeled Day 5 Galactic Performance Review with Lord Cragthul. The same Lord Cragthul whose ocean had been turned into pudding. Jeremy gulped loudly. "I should have stayed on Earth," he whispered. And so, Jeremy survived another absurd day at the Intergalactic Bureau, proving once again that the universe might be infinite, but patience certainly is not. If you have ever worked in customer service, you understand his pain. If you have not, then congratulations. You are one of the lucky ones. So, if you enjoyed this intergalactic chaos, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to Sci-Fi Funny Stories for more hilarious futuristic adventures every week. And do not forget to share this video with your friends or family members who work in customer support, because they deserve some laughter and possibly intergalactic hazard pay. Day 5. The Galactic Human Resources Training Day. The morning on Nebula 9 began the way it always did. Quietly, suspiciously, and with the faint smell of burnt plasma coffee drifting through the corridors. Jeremy, the Earth intern who was still barely recovering from his first week at the Intergalactic Bureau, was already regretting showing up on time. A huge holographic sign floated in the lobby, shimmering in neon blue light. It read, "Mandatory Human Resources Training. Attendance is futile." Jeremy frowned and muttered to himself, "Wait, how can attendance be futile?" The Bureau's cleaning droid whirred by and replied in a metallic voice, "Because nobody ever survives the boredom." Inside the auditorium, 1,000 beings of every imaginable species gathered. There were glowing amoebas, robotic cacti, time-traveling pigeons, and even a sentient cloud that kept blocking everyone's view. Jeremy squeezed into a seat beside Glorp, the gelatinous human resources representative from the moon of compliance. Glorp's translucent body shimmered like a lava lamp as it spoke. "Welcome, interns and unwilling participants. Today we shall learn about intergalactic workplace ethics, emotional resonance management, and how to file complaints about existential crises." Jeremy immediately scribbled in his notebook. Note 1. Never file complaints about existential crises. The first training video began with a cheerful robot appearing on the screen, waving its claws enthusiastically. "Greetings, employees. Remember, your co-workers may not have bodies, but that is no excuse to ignore their personal space." The robot then exploded into confetti. Everyone applauded politely. Apparently, that was the correct reaction. After the presentation, Glorp announced the next phase. "Now we shall do a teamwork exercise," it gurgled. "Pair up and demonstrate empathy." Jeremy was immediately paired with a three-eyed lizard named Esthrak, who communicated entirely through interpretive dance. For 10 long minutes, Sethrak performed an emotional ballet describing his childhood on a lava planet. Jeremy tried to nod empathetically, but he accidentally clapped at the wrong moment, which, unfortunately, was the cultural equivalent of insulting Sethrak's ancestors. "Ah, cultural sensitivity failure detected," Glorp exclaimed. "Perfect opportunity for learning." Before Jeremy could apologize, a drone dropped a holographic Cultural Apology Form 47B, the size of a mattress, onto his lap. He had to fill it out using a quill that emitted small lightning bolts. After the first shock, he muttered under his breath, "I miss Earth internships. At least their human resources only sent awkward emails." The next part of the day was the conflict resolution simulation. Volunteers were called to reenact a typical office argument. Naturally, Jeremy was chosen immediately. His role was frustrated employee, and his partner was Omega 9000, a 12-foot-tall war robot that had recently been reprogrammed for anger management training. Omega's eyes glowed red as it boomed, "State your grievance, organic intern." Jeremy hesitated and said nervously, "Sometimes I feel unappreciated." Omega's optics flickered, and its voice trembled. "Unappreciated? You have triggered the empathy subroutine." The robot immediately began crying hydraulic fluid all over the floor. Everyone applauded again. Jeremy took a polite bow, unsure whether he had passed the test or caused a mechanical breakdown. Either way, it felt like progress. After 7 exhausting hours of lectures, awkward simulations, and one unfortunate incident involving a self-help wormhole, Glorp finally announced, "Congratulations, you have survived the Galactic Human Resources Training." A beam of light descended from the ceiling, and every participant received a glowing certificate that read, "Certified Emotionally Tolerant Being, valid across 7 dimensions." Jeremy held his certificate proudly, even though it immediately started smoking in his hands. Glorp smiled, or possibly bubbled at him, and said, "You did well, Earthling. You are now legally allowed to feel minor emotions during work hours." Jeremy nodded and replied, "That is more emotion than my last boss allowed." The entire auditorium erupted in laughter, and even the cleaning droid chuckled, before short-circuiting from joy. Just as everyone prepared to leave, the bureau director appeared on the massive holographic screen. His voice echoed through the hall. "Attention all staff," he announced. "Due to a clerical error, today's human resources training did not actually happen. Please repeat the session tomorrow." A collective groan filled the galaxy. Jeremy looked down at his smoking certificate, sighed deeply, and muttered, "So this is how unpaid internships feel on every planet." The screen flickered, and Glorp whispered softly, "Do not worry, Jeremy. Tomorrow's session is even more interactive." Jeremy frowned. "How interactive?" he asked nervously. Glorp's body rippled like jelly as it grinned. "It involves lasers." Later that evening, Jeremy returned to his tiny cubicle, taped his half-melted certificate to the wall, and declared, "One day, I will get a real paycheck, even if it is in Martian credits." He then turned toward the camera, breaking the fourth wall, and spoke directly to the audience. "If you have ever survived a human resources training or an internship on Earth, you deserve a medal, or at least a certificate that does not smoke. So share this story with your friends, your fellow interns, and every family member who is currently suffering through an internship. Trust me, they will relate." The lights in the cubicle flickered. The distant hum of a malfunctioning robot echoed, and Jeremy sighed one last time before whispering, "At least tomorrow cannot be worse." Somewhere deep in the bureau, a robotic voice replied, "Challenge accepted." Day 6. The Bureau's annual performance review morning light, or whatever passed for morning light on Nebula 9, glowed through the tinted plasma windows of the Intergalactic Bureau. Jeremy, the exhausted Earth intern, sat at his desk staring at a glowing message in his hollow mailbox. The subject line read, "Mandatory Annual Performance Review. Attendance is not optional even if you are quantumly unavailable." Jeremy blinked. It has only been 6 days. How can it be annual? He muttered. The office printer beeped cheerfully and replied, "Because time moves differently here. Annual means whenever management feels like judging you." Jeremy sighed, straightened his half-melted tie from yesterday's HR disaster, and walked toward the Bureau's evaluation chamber. The door slid open with a dramatic hiss, revealing a circular room filled with floating clipboards, blinking holograms, and a long table occupied by creatures who looked like they had been designed by a committee that hated logic. At the center hovered the supervisor drone, a floating cube with 70 blinking eyes. "Welcome, Intern Jeremy," it said in a deep metallic voice. "Today, we will measure your progress, emotional stability, and your ability to not destroy the Bureau accidentally." Jeremy gulped. "Understood, sir, or ma'am, or de-cube." The drone replied politely, "Yes." Scene 1. The Quantum Satisfaction Meter. From the ceiling, a robotic arm lowered a glowing contraption that looked like a mix between a helmet, a blender, and an angry toaster. "Please place the Quantum Satisfaction Meter on your head," the drone ordered. "It will scan your memories to see how satisfied we are with your existence." Jeremy hesitated. "Does it hurt?" "Only if you tell the truth," said the drone. The machine powered up, flashing holograms of Jeremy's week. The exploding coffee maker, the time paradox paperwork, the alien complaint chaos, and the HR training meltdown. Sparks flew. The device started shaking violently. "Error detected," it blared. "Subject shows high levels of confusion, sarcasm, and emotional damage from unpaid labor." The drone blinked. "That sounds accurate. Run diagnostics again." After a pause, the machine replied, "Diagnostics complete. Jeremy is 47% productive, 38% confused, 12% emotionally broken, and 3% surviving on caffeine and despair." The drone beeped approvingly. "Above average for interns. Proceed." Scene 2. The Interview. A slug-like alien named Zorpax slithered forward, holding a clipboard that was somehow on fire. "Intern Jeremy," it gurgled, "how would you describe your performance?" Jeremy thought carefully. "Consistent." "Consistently what?" "Consistently not dead," Jeremy said. The committee nodded in admiration. "Survival is valuable," said the drone. Next up was the android C-12, running the teamwork review. "On a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you work with alien coworkers?" Jeremy answered, "Well, one tried to eat my stapler, another communicates through screams in the 5th dimension, but I would say 7. C-12 whirred. "Define teamwork." Jeremy replied, "When everyone equally blames each other for failure." The committee clapped. "Excellent understanding of Bureau culture." Scene 3. The demonstration. "Now we will test your practical skills," the drone announced. The lights dimmed, and suddenly Jeremy stood in a holographic simulation filled with angry alien clients, broken robots, and a coffee maker shooting foam everywhere. "Your task," said the drone, "is to stay professional for 60 seconds. Jeremy smiled nervously and got to work, handing out refund coupons that immediately caught fire, rebooting the coffee maker by kicking it, and nodding politely while chaos unfolded. When the timer ended, the whole evaluation committee applauded. Zorpax clapped his slimy hands. "That was incredible composure," the drone added. "He did not cry once." Glorp, the HR blob, oozed in. "He is ready for middle management." Jeremy raised his eyebrow. "Does that come with pay?" Everyone laughed, and then they just kept laughing. Jeremy realized no one in this building knew what money was. Scene 4. The Certificate of Achievement. After one last round of ridiculous forms and an unexpected musical number from the Bureau choir of disgruntled cyborgs, the supervisor drone floated forward with a glowing plaque. "Intern Jeremy of planet Earth," it said proudly. "For surviving 6 consecutive days without being vaporized, you are awarded the Certificate of Barely Adequate Performance." The plaque shimmered, then transformed into a cube that exploded in confetti and left behind a sticky note that said, "Do better next time." Glorp slithered forward, patting Jeremy's shoulder. "You did well, Jeremy. You have learned the most important rule of the Bureau. Jeremy sighed. And what is that? No one knows what anyone else is doing, Glorp said, smiling. And that is what keeps the galaxy running. Scene 5. The twist. Just when Jeremy thought he was done, the supervisor drone spoke again. One more thing. Due to time distortions, we must conduct another performance review for the past that has not happened yet. Jeremy blinked. What does that mean? It means, the drone replied, your next evaluation starts yesterday. The walls shimmered. A wormhole opened beneath Jeremy's feet, sucking him in as he yelled, I just wanted an internship. A moment later, the office printer chirped cheerfully. New intern detected. Welcome to your first vehicle. Dizzy but alive. He looked at his desk, where his new glowing certificate sat beside the half-melted one from HR. Maybe one day, he said, I will earn an award that does not explode. He looked straight at the camera and grinned. If you have ever had a performance review that made you question reality, share this story with your friends, your fellow interns, and anyone who has ever heard the words, we need to talk. Trust me, they will feel this pain. He raised his glowing coffee mug for a toast, to surviving the impossible, and pretending it is progress. The mug floated away, spilling coffee into orbit as a robotic voice echoed in the distance. See you tomorrow, Jeremy. Jeremy sighed. I was afraid of that. Day 7. Bring your species to work day. The 7th day of Jeremy's internship began with what looked like a normal holographic memo. It read, Reminder, today is Bring Your Species to Work Day. Attendance is mandatory. Failure to participate will result in being volunteered for plasma recycling duty. Jeremy rubbed his eyes. Bring your species to work? I have only one species, me. The office printer beeped cheerfully. Then bring yourself twice. Management loves enthusiasm. As Jeremy arrived at the bureau, he immediately knew something was wrong. The corridors were filled with creatures of every imaginable shape, color, and level of danger. A 7-eyed squid creature was introducing its family of mini-squids who were biting the furniture. A group of crystalline beings were taking selfies that accidentally caused minor explosions. The air shimmered with the noise of 100 different languages, some of which were just loud screaming. A sign at the entrance read, Please do not eat other employees' relatives without consent. Jeremy sighed. It is going to be one of those days. Scene 1. The Family Showcase. At 9 a.m. sharp, the supervisor drone floated into the main hall. Its metallic voice boomed across the room. Welcome, Bureau employees and their associated species. Today, we celebrate diversity, evolution, and questionable biology. Each employee had to introduce their species to the group. A gelatinous blob named Glorp presented his entire family. 4 smaller blobs that immediately merged into one large puddle on the floor. They are very proud of me, Glorp said. Then the robot assistant C-12 presented its cousins, all of whom were toasters. They have achieved enlightenment through breakfast, C-12 announced. The crowd clapped politely as the toasters released perfectly timed puffs of smoke. When Jeremy's turn came, the supervisor drone hovered expectantly. Intern Jeremy of planet Earth, where is your species? Jeremy gestured to himself. You are looking at it. I am the full collection. The entire hall fell silent. One alien gasped. Another fainted. The drone blinked its 70 eyes. You mean there is only one of you? Well, Jeremy said nervously, there are more of me on Earth, but I could not afford to bring them. The room erupted in chatter. A tentacled alien whispered, Poor creature, no backup clones. A lizard-like manager asked, How do you reproduce then? Jeremy replied, The normal way. The alien nodded. So, with paperwork? Jeremy sighed. In a sense, yes. Scene 2. The Cultural Exchange Booths. To promote interspecies understanding, the Bureau had set up cultural exchange booths. Employees were required to share something from their homeworld. Jeremy set up a tiny table with a paper cup of instant coffee, a half-eaten sandwich, and a laptop that was running a PowerPoint presentation titled, "Earth, We Try Our Best." The first visitor was a gaseous being named Mexor, who floated over the table and asked, "What is this brown liquid?" "Coffee," Jeremy said proudly. "It keeps humans alive." Mexor absorbed some vapor. "It tastes like anxiety." "Exactly," said Jeremy. Next came a towering alien who looked like a mix between a spider and a filing cabinet. "I have heard of this Earth thing called humor," it said. "Demonstrate it." Jeremy smiled awkwardly. "Well, why did the alien cross the galaxy?" The alien blinked several eyes. "Why?" "To get to the other universe." There was a long silence. Then the alien wrote something in a notebook. "Your species is brave to survive with this level of entertainment." Scene 3. The Disaster. Just when Jeremy thought the day could not get any stranger, the supervisor drone announced the final event. The Species Talent Show. "We will now celebrate our diverse abilities. Show us what makes your species special." A glowing amoeba performed an interpretive dance that melted part of the floor. The robot choir sang an electromagnetic hymn that caused 3 minor power outages. Then came Jeremy. He stepped nervously onto the stage with his cup of coffee. "I represent Earth," he said, "and our greatest talent is multitasking under stress." He tried to sip coffee, type on his laptop, and smile confidently, all at once. The coffee spilled onto the laptop, which sparked violently. The sparks hit the alien puddle from earlier, causing a chain reaction that triggered the building's self-defense alarms. Red lights flashed. The drone yelled, "Containment breach! Someone is leaking humanity!" Jeremy waved his arms. "It was just coffee, not a contagion." The toasters began firing toast as a distraction. The lizard managers ducked under tables. A time portal opened accidentally, releasing a confused dinosaur. The chaos was complete. And in the middle of it all, Jeremy's PowerPoint presentation continued on autopilot, projecting the slide, "Earth, we try our best." Scene 4. The Aftermath. Hours later, the Bureau was filled with smoke, crumbs, and mild regret. The supervisor drone floated over to Jeremy, now covered in coffee stains and paperwork ash. "Intern Jeremy," it said, "today's event was memorable. You have demonstrated the essence of your species." Jeremy sighed. "Which is what exactly?" The drone replied, "Trying very hard, failing spectacularly, and somehow making everyone laugh." It extended a glowing hand and handed him another holographic certificate. The text read, "Award for Outstanding Chaos Contribution, presented to intern Jeremy Homo sapiens for reminding the galaxy that survival is mostly improvisation." The certificate immediately caught fire, turned into confetti, and reassembled itself into a coffee mug that said, "You did okay, probably." Jeremy smiled faintly. "Thank you, I think." Scene 5. As the day ended, the Bureau slowly returned to order. The alien interns cleaned up what was left of their relatives, the robots rebooted their systems, and the dinosaur found a job in the archives department. Jeremy sat at his desk, staring at his new coffee mug. "Maybe Earth's real superpower," he said softly, "is surviving the impossible with a straight face." He looked straight at the camera. If you have ever survived a chaotic office event, a school function, or a family reunion that went horribly wrong, share this story with your friends, your coworkers, and anyone who deserves a laugh. Because in the end, we are all just trying to make it through the galaxy one spilled coffee at a time. The lights dimmed. The office printer beeped again. "Attention all staff! Tomorrow is Bureau Sports Day. Please bring your own gravity." Jeremy buried his face in his hands. "I need another cup of anxiety."